Good afternoon. We are Sergio Corcuera and Carla Rivera, two social investigators that are going to present to you now our discourse analysis project focused in the pro-independence political movement. So we have departed from the hypothesis that the pro-independence discourse has evolved in a way such as it has tried to amplify its potential sympathizers at the same time that has shaped in a more accurate way the we and the other. So our main objective is to make a comparison between the two discourses from the two main political forces of the pro-independence movement, which are Esquerra Republicana and Convergencia y Unión back in 2011, and later constituted in Junts pel Sí. Two are our research questions. First, if there has been an evolution towards a discursive antagonism, and secondly, if this has happened, how it has been performed linguistically.
In order to do that, 8 have been the discourses analyzed between the period of 2011 and 2017, 4 in the case of Oriol Junqueras and 2 in the case of Artur Mas and Carles Puigdemont. And in order to do that, we followed two main methods. First, the frame analysis inspired by the Íñigo Errejón's model in his doctoral thesis, and secondly, the semantic networks or distribution analysis inspired by Jellic Harris as an investigator. In the first case, the framing analysis, it is constituted by three main steps. The first one is the diagnosis of the problem and the injustice. So it is called the diagnosis framing. In the second one, the prognostic framing is that about who is the we, who is the other, and which names do the authors put in order to refer to them. And finally, the motivational framing refers to which is the mythical reconstruction that allows for the justification of the construction of the we, which are the norms and values attributed to each dimension, and finally, which is the solution proposed. And secondly, the other method that we've used is the one referred about the distribution analysis showed throughout the semantic networks. And the coordination of these two methods have allowed us to neutralize their limitations. In the case of Oriol Junqueras, the results have been the following. Referring to the diagnosis of the problem, in 2011, that was a lot more ancient than in 2017, which refers to a more recent events and political ones. And about the prognostic framing, while in 2011 the we dimension was Catalonia and our country, in 2017 it's the new republic, showing its institutionalization. And this is more clear in the case of the other, that while in 2011 was the government and or empire of Spain, in 2011 in 2017, sorry, it is clear the Spanish state. So it's more evident in this case that the institutionalization and the clarification of the other has been performed. And finally, referring the motivation and analysis, the norms and values attributed in 2011 to refer to the we dimension were more like the economic prosperity, while in 2017 there are more like republican values such as democracy or dialogue. And this is also evident in the case of the other dimension, that in 2011 there were attributions like imperialism or ancient past, but in 2017 the main features that define them are that of non-dialogue, non-democracy, or irrationality.
And in the case of Artur Mas and Carles Puigdemont, and while in particularly the diagnostic framing, in 2011 it was focused mainly in economic terms, while in 2017 it was above all economic. The injustice was economic. So in the prognostic framing, the we that exhibited Artur Mas was that of Catalonia, but later on his homologue Puigdemont in 2017 referred to the winning dimension as the Catalan Republic. In the case of the other, in 2011, the frontier was expressed with the term of Spain, while in 2017, inscribed in a more institutionalized way, was that of the Spanish state. So at last, in the motivational framing, we also see this transition from more vague concepts to more specific and institutionalized ones. Sorry. So in 2011, they were, for example, respect, loyalty, justice, but to identify the winning dimension. But later on, in 2017, they were those of democracy or those of ballot boxes or referendum. The same happened with the other. While it was recognized with vague concepts in 2011, then in 2017 were those of violence or non-democracy or non-dialogue. So in the case of the semantic networks, we can also see this transition to a more concrete discourse just by looking at the concepts deployed in this distributional analysis. So in the case of Uriel Junqueras, for example, there was a transition from more patrimonialistic discourse centered above all in concepts such as country or the determinant of our, while in 2017 later were those of referendum or were above all republican values. So in the case of his counterpart, Arthur Mas in 2011, and we can also see a very patrimonialistic discourse focusing again in the determinant of our to refer to our identity, our Catalonia, our country, etc., etc. While Puigdemont later on in 2017 focused mainly on democratic values, such as well, the referendum, the republic, etc., etc.
And finally, our main conclusions have focused in basically three main dimensions. In the first one, we've been interested in the analysis of if there has been an actual integration between the semantic networks and the frame analysis in the case of Orion Junqueras. And we have concluded that it has not been quite harmonized. But this has not happened in the case of Artur Mas and Carlos Puigdemont, that the two methods have allowed us to get to the same conclusions. So we can delineate that although they present some limitations, when we combine them, although it is true that in the first case they have not been quite harmonized, in the second one have they, so that they complement pretty well, and they have allowed us to arrive to the final conclusion that it is that we can mostly verify our main hypothesis, which revolves around the fact that while the we has been amplified, the clear one is the other, which has been evidently institutionalized and clarified.